Hey there, Emerson Eagles. So this is your math lesson for the week of May 4th. This week, we are going to be focusing on adding and subtracting numbers that are bigger than 100. But before we start doing that, let's do a quick mood meter check-in. So take a look at the mood meter. Think about where you are on the mood meter right now. And how can you make sure that you are getting yourself into the best place for learning? For most of us, the best place for learning is in the green. So we'd be feeling calm, relaxed, happy, cozy, or safe, or maybe some other feelings that are kind of lower energy and pleasant feelings. So think about how you can get yourself into the green or into a good place for learning before we start our math lesson today. Also for today, you might want a piece of paper or something to write on so that you can practice doing some of the problems with me. So if you need to pause the video for a second so you can go get a piece of paper, go ahead and do that right now. Okay, so just a quick review, and if you were in my class this year, then you probably remember seeing this poster. But something that we've already practiced this year is learning different ways to represent numbers. So we learned that you can just represent a number in standard form. Standard form just means the regular way you write the number out. So if our number is 264, writing it in standard form would just be 264, just like that. Okay, that's an easy one. Let me scoot this a little closer. Okay, we also learned about how to write numbers in expanded form. Expanded form is when we pull it apart to make it a little longer using plus signs. So in the number 264, we have 200, right? 2 hundreds, 6 tens, which is 60, and 4 ones. So in expanded form, that number looks like 200 plus 60 plus 4. Okay. We also this year learned how to just write numbers in word form. That's just where we spell all the numbers out. So 264 looks like this, 264. And lastly, we also learned how to write numbers in model form or drawing the numbers using base 10 blocks. So if I were going to draw or write 264 in model form, I would draw 2 big hundreds. Remember, the big hundreds are the big squares. 6 tens, and 4 ones. When you draw it, you don't have to color them in like I did. I just did that so it would be easier to see on this poster. But when you draw it, you could just draw big squares, you could draw lines for the tens, and dots for the ones. Okay, so hopefully you have your piece of paper because we're going to practice doing that ourselves right now because that's something that is going to be in your homework this week. So to start out, I want you to practice. Make sure you have your paper and a pencil if you don't already. I want you to practice drawing the number. Oh, my marker doesn't work. Practice drawing the number 327. Okay, there's your number. Take a second to draw it. If you need to pause the video, go ahead and pause it while you draw. Okay, so hopefully what you drew when you drew 327, the first thing you're going to want to draw is the hundreds. I'm looking here and I can see that there are 3 hundreds in the hundreds place, so I'm going to draw 3 big squares. Okay, remember you don't have to color them in if you are doing them yourselves. I just did that for it to be easier to see. So I have 3 hundreds. Okay, next I'm going to draw my tens. I look here in the tens place and I see that I have 2 tens, which means I'm going to draw 1, 2 tens. Okay, last one, I'm going to do the ones place. Okay, I can see here in the ones place I have a 7, which means I'm going to draw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 ones. Okay, and that's what we get, 327 in model form. Okay, let's do one more example practice one. Okay, your next number is going to be 532. If you need to pause the video for a second, go ahead and pause it so that you can practice drawing the hundreds, tens, and ones on your own. Go ahead and pause the video and practice doing that. Okay, and when I draw my hundreds, tens, and ones, the first thing I'm going to do is look in the hundreds place and figure out how many hundreds I have. I see a 5 in the hundreds place, which means I'm going to draw 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 big hundreds. Next, I'm going to look in the tens place. I see I have 3 tens, so I'm going to draw 1, 2, 3 tens. And then I'm looking here in the ones place and I see I have 1 and 2 ones. So all together in model form, I have 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 510, 520, 530, 531, 532 for 532. Okay. Great job practicing that, you guys. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to practice adding on to those numbers. So we're going to start by practicing just by adding on 10. So if I'm going to keep this same number, 532, and I'm going to add on a whole 10 to that number. Now, I want you to think in your head, knowing what you already know about numbers. Make a prediction. What do you think the answer is going to be if I add 10 onto 532? Think about which place in this number might change. Okay. I know that I'm adding on a 10, and these are my 10s. So in model form, I'm just going to add one more 10. Nothing is changing about the hundreds place right now. Nothing is changing about the ones place right now, because all I did was add on a 10. So let's see what number we have now. We have 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 510, 520, 530, 540, 541, 542. That means, and sorry, it's kind of messy, but my new number is 542. Okay? Let's try it with the other number we practiced. The other number we practiced was 327. If I add on, this time I'm going to say 20 to 327, what answer do you think I will get? Think about which place in this number might change. Will it be the hundreds place, the tens place, or the ones place of this number? Okay, so if I know I'm adding on 20, that's the same as 2 tens. So I'm going to add 2 tens here where the tens are. I'm going to draw 1, 2 tens. I'm going to count up to see how many I have now. So I have 100, 200, 300, 310, 320, 330, 340, 341, 342, 343, 344, 345, 346, 347. That means my new number is 347. Okay? So I'm going to give you another one to practice doing on your own this time, now that you've seen me do it a couple of times. Okay. Your number this time is going to be 416. Okay, so think about that number, and we are adding on to it we are adding on to it 20 more. So if it helps you to draw the model form, go ahead and try drawing that now. If you don't think you need to draw the model form, go ahead and try solving that problem now. You can pause the video while you solve the problem. Okay, so hopefully you have solved the problem. So I'm going to do it by drawing out the model form. You maybe didn't draw out model form, and that's okay. So I have 4 hundredths. One. I'm going to draw them a little smaller this time so I have room. 3, 4 hundredths. I have 1/10. Oops, make that a little bigger. And 6 ones. Okay, there's my number, 416. And I'm adding on 20. This time, I'm going to draw it a little different. I'm just going to say plus, and then my 2 10s. Okay, I can count it up just like I did last time. I can say 400, so 100, 200, 300, 400, 410, 420, 430, 431, 432, 433, 434, 435, 436. Okay, so my new number and the number that you hopefully got when you tried it on your own is 436. Okay, we're going to do one last example, and this one's going to be a little tougher. Okay. So this time my number is going to be 274. Okay, and instead of adding on a 10 this time, I'm going to add on a whole 100. Okay, so if you're looking at this problem, I want you to think about which place in 274 is going to change when I add 100. Will the hundreds place change? Will the tens place change? Will the ones place change? Think about it. You can look at this chart to help you think about it too. If I'm drawing it in model form, or maybe you're picturing it in expanded form, which place in this number will change? Okay? So I'm going to draw it out just to help me. I have 100 and 200. And then I have 7 tens. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 4 ones. 1, 2, 3, 4. 274. If I add on a whole 100, I can show that in model form by drawing a whole big 100. Now let's count and see what I have. 100, 200, 300, 310, 320, 330, 340, 350, 360, 370, 371, 372, 373, and 374. Oops. Okay, so my new number is, it was 274, now it's 374. So you'll notice that only the hundreds place changed that time. Okay, so this week as you're doing your work in your homework packet, make sure that you're thinking about which place on the number will change, thinking about hundreds, tens, and ones, and also making sure that if you aren't sure how to solve the problem, you can always come back to this video and watch it again. You can always come back to this video and look at this chart if you're not sure what expanded form looks like or model form looks like. Okay, and this week while you're doing your work, you are going to look for homework pages that say 2.8 lesson series 1. Okay. It also, oops, make that a little easier. It also might say, instead of lesson series, it might just say LS1. Okay. Those are the homework pages you're going to be doing this week. If you're still not sure, make sure that you go onto the homework or the lesson document on the Emerson website or on your Teacher's Class Dojo page so that you can make sure that you look at what the homework pages look like, and you know for sure what you are supposed to be working on this week. Okay, second graders, we miss you a lot. I hope that you are having a good time at home, spending lots of time with your families. And remember, if you need help or you want to share your work, you can always reach out to your teacher on Class Dojo. We love to see what you guys are working on, so send us photos of your math homework when you're finished so that we can see. All right, have a great week.